All right, this is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1957. It's in Yiddish. It talks about the opposition to the Jewish people when they left Egypt. First of all, we see that Paro, when the Jewish people left Egypt, Paro attacked them from the rear, and that God took care of Paro. And then after that, after they crossed the sea, so they were attacked by Amelek, which is a very powerful nation, and the Jews, they fought themselves. This was a battle that God did not fight for them; they fought the battle themselves. So it's very interesting. I mean, the Jewish people, first of all, they weren't warriors; they weren't trained at war. And Amelek, on the other hand, was, and Amelek was very motivated to destroy the Jewish people. And on the other hand, the Jewish people were not that motivated to defeat Amelek. A lot of them wanted to return back to Egypt. And nevertheless, the Jews had to fight, and they did fight, and miraculously they won. So we'll see what the difference is. That's what the Rebbe is. Also, mainly, we're going to see what this means to us today, because the whole purpose of the Torah is to teach us how to live our lives today. It's not just something that happened a long time ago, a nice history lesson, exciting biblical stories, and maybe we can glean some sort of a wisdom from the days of yore. This is talking about what's going on right now. What is now? A very important point is we have to understand the whole world depends on the Jews. That's a very sort of a grandiose statement, but on the other hand, it's true. The God, the creator of the universe, the only people that he gave his plan and the manufacturer's instructions to exactly why he created the universe and what we're supposed to do, and the definition of what is good and bad is the Torah. When he gave the Torah, that's the only time. Other religions are made up, other philosophies, other political systems and economic systems, and those are all man-made. The religions are also man-made, all of them, without any exception. Some of them are inspired by spiritual powers, spiritual forces, angels, whatever. But Judaism, we're talking about the creator of the whole universe that's creating me and you right now, and creating all these angels and creating all these spiritual powers that inspired all the other religions. He spoke to the Jews, and these words of God are eternal. The world is the same world as it was back then when God created it 5,700, whatever, 83 years ago, 2 years ago, as it is right now. Same exact world. And the God is eternal, and God's word is eternal, and the Jewish people we see are eternal. So maybe you might want to deny God, you might want to deny the Torah, but it's pretty hard to deny the Jewish people. Here they are. And even the non-religious Jewish people, even the anti-religious Jewish people, nevertheless, they have some sort of irrational fervor in clinging to their Judaism and their Jewish identity. Yes, I'm a Jew, I'm an atheist Jew, I'm an apostate Jew, I'm a this Jew, but they don't think that they're Jew, a Reformed Jew, a conservative Jew, but they're Jews. So the Jews, the reason is because the Jews are connected to God. Just like God is infinite, so are the Jews. But the purpose of the Jews is to benefit the whole world. The purpose of the Jews is not for the Jews. The purpose of the Jews is to benefit all mankind. We're public servants. We're servants of the world. The purpose of Judaism is to perfect the physical world. And the only ones that can really do this are the Jewish people, because we're the only ones that have this true inner connection to the creator of the universe. And the creator of the universe, the most important thing to him is the universe. According to Judaism, it's just not that just God sits up there and he could make a million universes and he made other planets and there's other eons and other dimensions and other things. There are all these things. But the fact is the only place he gave the Torah, and the only place he really cares about individually, personally, is this physical world. That's what Judaism says. And it's true that there's heaven and there's spiritual levels, but all that is just means and preparation, etc., to the real end. And the end is this physical world. This physical world is meaningful, and every person that's in it right now, every instant, is tremendously meaningful and important to God. So anything that deters the Jewish people from doing their job is, practically speaking, an enemy of all mankind. And those people that, I can think you can't see much clearer than just the ultimate, primal example of anti-Semitism was the Nazis, and they were just destructive people. They killed like 50 million people, not Jews. They killed, they raped, they murdered, they destroyed, they burned, they bombed for absolutely no, and they did it with great happiness and great joy, right? And great devotion and expertise and wisdom and planning and everything like this. This was pure destruction, and the main banner that they hold up was destroying the Jews. That was a main goal of theirs, but it didn't deter them from killing 50 million other people. So we see that generally speaking, the people are the enemy of the Jews. They're the enemies of mankind. So here we have two enemies of the Jews, Paro and Amelek, and these two exist right now. So let's see what we do. Paro, it says God fought for us. And Amelek, we had to do the battle. Let's see what's going on here. When the Jews, Zayin and Gegangen, went from Egypt, they left from Egypt, to Har Sinai, to Kabel, Zayin, the Torah, to receive the Torah. Haben sie gehabt auf dem Weg, they had on the way two wars, zwei Milchamas, two wars. The Milchama mit Paro and the Milchama mit Amelek. The war with Paro and the war with Amelek. In Hainte Kesedron, this week's Torah portion, the Torah tells us, wegen dem Anzug, the commandment from Hashem Yisborech of God, wie die Yidden, when the Jewish people sollen sich führen by beiden Milchamas, how the Jews had to do both wars. By Milchamas Paro, by the war of Paro, is given their tzivoy, says Hashem Yilachem Lachem Atem Teach Rishun. God will war with you. God will fight your battle, and you be quiet. It just says in Yiddish. God wird vor ihm Milchama hadnen, do the schweigen. You be quiet. When by Milchamas Amalek, but by the war of Amalek, God said, "Say Yilachem Amalek, you go and fight." Geya Reis halt Milchama Amalek. Was meant, Oich Milchama Peshut in Gashmis means they had to actually fight a real physical war with swords and bows and arrows and spears and shields and blood and guts and all the things. That's what they had to do. The difference between the two wars is Paro is given hinter the Eden. Paro was behind the Jews. Is nicht gestanden zwischen the Yidden und dem Berg Sinai. He wasn't standing between the Jews and Mount Sinai. Nor zwischen the Yidden mit dem Daga asher nechal b'Mitzrayim. But he was standing between the Jews and the comfort and the security that they had in Egypt. If you remember, the Jews, when they left Egypt, so they came into the desert, and as soon as there was any difficulty, they started fantasizing about the great comfort and pleasure that they had in Egypt. Some people say that this was because who were the complainers were the policemen that were over the Jews, that they didn't suffer so much. They got fed better. Some people say it was just Datan and Aviram, that they complained about everything anyway. But in any case, the Jews complained. And the Jews wanted to go back. A lot of them wanted to go back to Egypt, especially seeing as Egypt had been decimated and it had been destroyed. So with them, the Jews wanted, Paro was standing between them and returning to Egypt. Paro hat geschrien, as vet nit zulassen, zum Tov, Eretz Yisrael, that he would not let the Jews go back to Egypt unless an men wird seinen pharaohs of them. He said, I'll let you come back to Egypt, but only on the condition that you're my servants. Aber zwischen Yidden und Matan Torah, but between the Jews and receiving the Torah, is there nit started. He didn't stand between the Jews and receiving the Torah. Therefore, he's given, and then the Seder, Hashem yilachem lachem, God will fight for you, and you be quiet. That's it. In other words, he was standing between the Jewish wandering in the desert and Jewish comfort. That was his thing. He was standing between the security and uncertainty. The Jews were in the desert. They were unsure. They had to depend totally on God. And they didn't know, I'm sure they knew that God took them out of Egypt, but every single second was uncertain. They'd never been out of Egypt before. They didn't know what was going to be in the future. Paro said, you want to come back to Egypt? You can come back, but you have to be my servants. I'm sure that the Jews would have been able to make some sort of a deal with Paro, seeing as that the Paro knew that he had been smitten very seriously by the God of the Jews. But in any case, Paro stood between the Jews and going back to Egypt. Therefore, God made the battle. God fought against Paro. But opposing to this was Amelek. And he was between the Jews and receiving the Torah. After the Jews crossed over the sea, so Amelek attacked them and wanted to stop them from receiving the Torah. Und da hat sich nicht gehandelt wegen an Eretz Tova Rechava, nor wegen a Midbar. And here, the choice of the Jews now was not going back to the land of Egypt, where they thought they had some sort of a security, but here, the Jews was from one uncertainty to the other one. And behind the Jews was a desert. In front of the Jews was receiving the Torah. Wie der Rizal Zogan in Midrash, like it says in Midrash Tanchuma, that the Torah is given geworden davken a midbar. The Torah was given also in a desert. When hat nit gelassen, the Yidden gain mekabel dein Torah. Now the Jews were already motivated. They wanted to go and receive the Torah. Came along Amelek to cool them off, to frighten them. When there is something that's preventing from a Jew as sterer, a prevention, an upka halter, and a something that detains the Jews to Kabbalah Torah from receiving the Torah, is a gamma called Kol Yaakov Vayadayim Yadei Esav, even though it says that the voice is the voice of Yaakov and the hands are the hands of Esav. The Jews are usually not ones that go to war. Yadayim Zainan Esav, the idea of going to war and killing is not a Jewish thing. Thus is Zayin Chelik. This is the rather Esav. All the rest of the world, their thing is going to war. Via state, like it says, that's the blessing that it was given to him, that on your sword you will live. Vibalt aber as is the shter, but when something, so the Jewish people, their thing is learning Torah, praying, teaching, learning, not making battles, not going on fighting. But if there is something that stands between the Jews and receiving the Torah, rechen men sich nit, then we don't make any calculations, any sort of reckoning. Un men geht oif alle wegen, un in alle ofanim. You go in all the ways possible. Abi men soll nor mekabel sein the Torah, only to receive the Torah. Un von einigen sich mit ihr, and to unify with the Torah. Okay, what's going on over here? The question is very simple. Are the Jewish people a normal people, or are the Jewish people God's people? If the Jewish people are the normal people, so they want to go back to Egypt. They want security. They want to live for themselves. They want to live for themselves. Paro is telling them, you can't live for yourself, right? I'm not going to let you do it. You have to be my servants. The Jewish people could have said, okay, no problem. You know what? No problem. If you promise us security, you promise us success. If you promise us if you promise us riches, pleasure, then we're with you. Power, we're with you. Therefore, God had to fight the battle. Comes along Amelek. Amelek is the opposite. Amelek is saying, you want to try to be God's people? You want to receive the Torah? I'm not going to let you do it. You're going to be normal like everybody else. Normal, I don't mind. But to be God's people, to receive the Torah, I'm not going to let you. Every Jew has to fight this battle himself against this. God is not going to help you in this. Of course, God always helps, but only if you take the initiative on your own. Und das is their time. This is the reason. Was men hat milchama gehalt mit Amelek. Why they had a war with Amelek, Pushut and Gashmis. Why? Es is nit gewen. There was not kein inyan from Kochiv Otzim Yadi. This is not that the Jews wanted to show how powerful they were and how strong they were in the Jewish army, that if we want to, we can be fighters too. No. Nor as is given an inyan from Milchama Lashem. There was a war for God. Was in Hashem, was ein Hashem Shalom, ein Kisei Shalom, which says that the name of God is not complete, and the throne of God is not complete until there's wiped out the seed of Amalek. Thus, Eberster's Nemen, the name of God, und sein Stuhl, and the throne of God is not whole until there's upgemacht, until there's wiped out the right, even all the offspring of Amalek. Mitzadam was the milchama mit Amalek is given to the Kabbalah Torah, because the war against Amalek was in order to receive the Torah or not. Darfon is the milchama mit Allah ira paratim. Therefore, the war with all of its details given verbunden mit Moshe Rabbeinu. It had to be connected to Moses. There, Torah Misina, the one that received the Torah from Sinai. The Milchama hat gestemmt from Moshe. This war started with Moses. Moshe had gesagt, Bachar lanu tzei lachem b'Amalek, go and fight against Amalek. The Milchama, the war, had sich angehäuben mit der Tefillah, from the prayer of Moshe. Geführt sich durch Anshe Moshe. And it was carried on by, it says, the people of Moses. Moses' men. Via state and Chassidus, like it says in Chassidus, by the sentence, Bachar lanu anashim, choose for us people. Anshe Moshe. And their nitzachon, and the victory came through Yoshua, that he was the servant of Moshe. Okay, now we're introduced to a new idea. We said before, how do we start the class? That the Jewish people, the whole world depends on the Jewish people. If there's no Jewish people, there's no world. The Jewish people, they're the ones that are eternal, and their job is to show the importance of this world to God. How important this world is to God. Right? This world, I said it, that didn't come out right. This world is tremendously important to God. We have to demonstrate that. That's the Jewish people, the job of the Jews. To demonstrate how precious every detail of this world is to God, and how much God wants that every detail of this world should reveal its potential. Its potential. Tremendously important. We see that people, inventions, I just saw a movie, a video about inventions that were made in the world. Inventions that were made by black people, there's people in Africa make inventions, not necessarily people that are big geniuses and that went to university and this, just people that are, they happen to be big geniuses, but it's a different type of a genius. And this can be revealed if we can bring out this genius of every single human being in the world, and every single human being has it. Not necessarily to make new physical inventions, but even to make us smile, to make a good feeling. That's sometimes much more important than all these amazing inventions. Here we see the German people, and I hate to keep harping on this, but it's such an amazing example, I think, of how intellect and culture can be used, if there aren't proper values, can be used to be just destroying the world and oneself. Sometimes the most important thing in the world is someone that shows love to somebody else. There's no greater no greater possession in the world than love, to value humanity, to value life. In any case, so that's what we said, that the world depends on the Jewish people. The Jewish people are here to bring the good out of everybody. Well, the Jewish people depend on Moses. In every generation, there must be someone who is a Moses, a Moshe. And he's the one that fires up the Jewish people. We can see how confused, incredibly, how deeply and seemingly, how do you say, uncorrectably confused the Jewish people are. I mean, if you look and see, it's just really amazing, just really amazing that you can have reform rabbis, conservative rabbis saying that the Torah is not true. You don't have to do all the commandments. How in the world? I mean, it's cutting off your own legs. You're cutting off your legs and your arms. The whole essence of Judaism is the commandments. How can there be such a thing? But on the other hand, why not? Why not? Who says not? So there's other people that want to be more religious and other people want to be less religious. So the answer is why not? Because God says not. Who's there to represent God? The Rebbe, Moses. Moses is Ish Elokim, a man of God. He's not a man of religion. He's not a man of the Jewish people. He's not a man of religion at all, right? He's a man of God. God, to show what God, true God gave the Jewish religion. It's a Jewish religion. But the feeling of God, there has to be one person that he is God's man. And you see him, you look at him, and you can find out that this is God's man. You don't see it automatically. It depends what type of eyes you've got. But that's God's man. And what does God want? God is tremendously dynamic, tremendously involved in the world. There's always one person like that. That's why Moses, he's the one that he directs this battle against Amelek. If it wasn't for Moses, they wouldn't even fight. The Jewish people wouldn't even fight Amelek. Their nitzach on this battle, this victory of the Jews in the war of Amelek, is higher than nature. Al Pitav, according to nature, Amelek, he should have won the battle. Vir Zok, like it says in the Talmud Yerushalmi, that Amelek were great sorcerers. And they chose, as Zelcha mentioned, only those people was Darfan Zel Piteva 11. They chose people that they saw were not going to die, at least on this day. Und sie hat ihr geschickt in Milchama. The people that they knew, according to their zodiac, according to what it is, that they were definitely not going to die on this day, so they knew that nothing would kill them. And from deswegen, nevertheless, we won the battle. When you go to war because you want to receive the Torah with the power of the Torah, like we said before, Anshe Moshe, the people Moshe, they're connected to Moses as Yeder, Einer, Welcher is gegangen. That each and every soldier, Jewish soldier that went. Oh, wow. Okay, you have to tilt your head a little bit over to the left over here. Went to the war of Amelek. Gavus knew as Ergate Nitbakocho, it is not going with his power, but Otzim Yado, with his energy, nor B'Shleichus B'Koach Torah, only with the power of the Torah. Demelt is man Menatzeach, then you can win this battle. The mitzvah of Zachiras, okay, so what is the Rebbe saying? That we should take guns and go out and fight? No, of course not. Back then, when Amelek wanted to destroy us physically, we had to fight physically. But now the big battle against Amelek is the Amelek inside of us. Everything that's written in the Torah is inside of us. Every Jew has an Amelek an enemy that hates God inside of him. Me too. The mitzvahs from Zechiras Amelek, this mitzvah of remembering Amelek, is Dach Yeder Tag, it's every day. In Mele, there's a commandment to remember Amelek. It's every day. In Mele, so is does Eber Begamata Hara. So what we said before, this is a teaching. Oich oiv der milchama mit Amelek haruchni from Yeden Tag. This is also teaching us about the spiritual war we have to have against Amelek every single day. Oif Amelek stayed by Amelek. It says Asher Korcha B'derech. What is the Amelek inside of us? It says that Amelek cut you off on the way. The word karcha also means to make cold. Karcha means to koreach, means to be cut off, but it also means to be cold. The Amelek inside of us, hat abgekillt Yidden from seine Koch. He cooled off the Jews from their enthusiasm, una hislavus, and their excitement in receiving the Torah. B'shas Yidden seinen gestan, and when the Jews were their grester hislavus, when the Jews were so tremendously excited, they had gone across the Suk. God split it for them. He destroyed all their enemies. They're now going to go and receive the Torah. There is Azayis Lavus, such excitement, Vosad Gevpoilt, Afilu Oif de Umus Olam, which all of the non-Jews of the world were also excited. Like it says in the song that that they saw the song that Moses sang, and the people, when they sang, it says all the people of Canaan, they all saw, they were all afraid. Everyone, the whole world was shaking. In the Midrash Tanchum, it gives an example from Ambatya Rotachas. It says a boiling bath. Al Salvan Gezen, everybody saw as dust is flows fire. It's the water is flaming hot. Demelt is gekumen. Nobody wanted to touch the Jews. Everyone saw that the Jews, they were like a flaming bath. If you touch them, they're going to get burnt. Everybody, the whole world knew it. Suddenly came along a Amelek of Oiv Kilin to cool off the Jews from the Slavos from getting the Kabul down the Torah, from receiving the Torah. We see it, to cool the Jews off. This is a very basic enemy of Judaism, is a lack of excitement. Lack of excitement. That's why the Baal Shem Tov came along in the world. In the time of the Baal Shem Tov, this is about 300 years ago, there were tremendous tragedies that befell the Jewish people, tremendous tragedies which made everybody depressed and made everybody think that God had left us. Pretty much now, like the Jews after the Holocaust, right? All the Jews came after the Holocaust, the same thing. All the Jews thought, well, God has left us. There's no point in being a Jew. All you get is killed and murdered and robbed and raped. What's the point of being a Jew? Let's get away from this Judaism business. So all the Jews started leaving Judaism. That was when, what's his name? Moses Mendelssohn and all these other people came along, and they said, let's leave Judaism. Let's make a new Judaism. Let's forget about Judaism. Let's make Judaism into just, the sort of ritual practices we can do at home. But on the street will be normal, real. Let's live a real life, a real. Came along the Baal Shem Tov and said, no, the world is making you excited. I can understand why, because God is not making you excited. There's nothing to be excited about God, right? Wrong. There is a lot to be excited about with God. The infiniteness of God, the good of God, the beauty of Hashem, the Torah, the commandments, you're doing God's will to make this world into a proper place. The Baal Shem Tov came and enlivened the warmth of Judaism. Amelek is coldness. And Torah is supposed to be warm. It says, Eish dat lamo. B'shas is gefind zich azach. When there is something which cools off, a Jew from the Torah, haben mir oivdem, and Avezim, we have a teaching as oiven dement, like we said before, that you have to use any means you can to have a war against this coldness. Abi nor makabel, but you have to, the main thing is to receive the Torah. The Torah is of ultimate importance, not just to the Jews, but to the whole world. Number two, Medar Vezin, you have to know, as mentutis nisbekocho botzam yado, that this war that you make against the coldness that's inside of you, you can't do it on your own. Mitten an nemen koach from zelbus to kraft, you can't do it from your own power. Nor b'kocho, you have to have Moshe. You have to learn the ideas of Chassidut Chabad. This will make you warm. Will make you, how do you say, enthusiastic about Torah and the commandments. Or if in Pasuk, on the Pasuk by Yishma Yisro, it says, we're going to be in next week's Torah portion, it says that Yitro heard, Zaktra Zal the Rabbi say, what did Yisro hear? It says that Yitro, he was the king of idolatry. He knew all of the idolatry in the world, and he decided he was going to convert to Judaism. He said, why? Because he heard something. What did he hear? He heard about the war of Amelek. The Shemua had langt oif in Midian. The news reached also where he was in Midian. Und das was Yisro had gesagt. Now I know that the God of the Jews is the greatest God. Is given. This was the preparation for the giving of the Torah, like it says in the Zohar. Also now, as men vet gain milchama, when you go and make a war with Amelek, the spiritual Amelek, in other words, you fight against anything that cools you off to the Torah and the commandments. And Yitro heard about this, and he knew the only way he could defeat this coldness to Torah, to God, was by being close to Moses. So he left everything and he went to Moses. I heard another way. What it says in the Midrash is not just that he heard about Amelek, that he heard about the splitting of the sea and the war with Amelek. And Yitro said, if it's possible that there can be the splitting of the sea, and God saved the Jews with amazing miracles, and he destroyed their enemies with even greater miracles, and he's providing all their needs, the Jewish people, and surrounding them with clouds of glory, and nevertheless there can still be Amelek, people can still be cold. He said, whoa, he said, I need Moses. I have to go to Moses. If it's possible to see all these miracles and still be cold to Judaism, Amelek said, I see the only way to help, the only way to cure this is by being next to Moses. Moses heats a person up. And so it is also by being connected to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he's the Moses of our generation. He's the Moshiach of our generation. And reading the words that he says, for instance, these words here, as this warms a person up, gives a person a totally different attitude toward the world. Instead of the world controlling him and cooling us off, as we want to control the world and heat the world up to the creator of the universe, then if you're connected to Moshe, to Moses, that does poilin, umatum, this will bring about everywhere. Afilu in Midian, even in Midian. Then undas vet im achana, this will be a preparation to revealing and receiving the inner Torah, which Moshiach Mitzidkenu will reveal to all mankind. Bimei Rabbi Amenu, Amen. Soon, immediately. Now, let's just do the Yom Yom for today. We'll do today's and tomorrow's. Intellect and excitement are two different worlds. Intellect and emotions. Intellect is a cold world and settled, where a person wants to be left alone to intellect to think. Emotions, this is seething and full of energy, dynamic. Man's service is to unite them. We have to combine them. And then the excitement that you have and the dynamic energy becomes transformed into a longing. You want something that's above yourself. And the intellect becomes a guide in life to serve, how to serve God better. Now, there's, like we said, we finished the same. You have to be excited, but the excitement has to be according to the Torah. Let's see, here we go. Oh. When my grandfather, he's talking about the grandfather of the previous Rebbe, was 7, his father, the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe of Chabad, Rebbe Shmuel is the fourth Rebbe of Chabad, the third Rebbe of Chabad, said, the amazing miracle that God made man upright, in other words, to walk with his head above his body, is that even though he's walking on the earth, but he can raise his head up to see the heavens. Not so with beasts. Beasts go on all fours, and their head is automatically below. All they see is the earth, things that are below them. Have a good day. Have a good Shabbos with Moshiach now. See you all, God willing, on Sunday at 8:15.